All right, my name is Adrian Colton, and my group and I did our report on the Boston Red Sox from 2007 to 2017. So, table of contents here showing we're talking about the background, problem, defensive analysis, offensive analysis, and team analysis from 2007 to 2017, and then we'll have our conclusion. So our problem is in 2004, they hadn't won a World Series since 1918 at home. Okay, we're talking about the hitter lineup, pitcher lineup, and the change of leadership that led to winning the championships. And so, change of leadership came from John Farrell, who in 2007 was our pitcher coach until 2010 when he went on to be a manager of another team. Then he came back in 2013 to be the manager for the Red Sox. Then that's when we went on to win the World Series at home. So with this, I decided, since he was the pitcher coach, to look at the pitcher analysis and do a decision payout table based off strikeouts to see which pitcher would be the starter. So with that, he decided to have Lester the starter, since in his payout table he came out as the Maxi Max, and second up was our Maxi Man Lackey, who came in next. And you can also see that in the sensitivity graph. And also, with that, PB was a trade. And you see, with the amount of strikeouts he had, he was a good, strong trade as a pitcher. Go ahead. And also with pitchers, there are closers. So there was an in-game decision he made to replace the starter, which was Uhera, based off this decision payoff table. He became out to be the Maxi Max is Andrew Bailey, and he had the most the most saves from 2009 to 2013. And so he made an in-game decision to start Uhera instead of Bailey, and that was a good decision because he ended up being the starter for the rest of the season, only having a 21-1 strikeout ratio, and then ended up being the starter in the World Series. Lastly, we talk about the third baseman's data analysis based off the number of putouts. We also did another decision payoff table. So with B. Holt and B. Snyder, they was having little problems defensively. So to help them out, he brought in Middlebrooks, who also helped to win the game and then ended up being the starter for the rest of the 90 games in the season. And then from there, ended up being the starter for the World Series also.
Hi, my name is Sheriff. I'll be covering a little bit about the defensive decisions. Now, every team, regardless of what sport it is, they'll be making adjustments every year depending on the coach's observations during the offseason or the prior season. Also, based on the data analytics done by the team analysis. Now, one of the big changes that, like Adrian mentioned, Boston Red Sox went through was changing the leadership. John Farrell came on as the team manager, and John Farrell, being worked with the team before, he knows the dynamics of the team very well and how each player interacts with each other and the value each one brings to the team. He believes in small adjustments that could all work together to bring big changes. So one of the changes that he wanted to do was look at the defensive side and then make some changes in the batting order. Now, David Ortiz, he's the designated hitter at the time. Now, he's been doing wonderful, but one of the things John Farrell saw that was whoever's playing the fourth batting order, he's able to bring in more runs, as he's able to bring all the bases home with the big hit. Usually, which fourth batting order is done by the heaviest hitter or the strongest player as far as when it comes to batting order. So before this, 2012, up until 2012, David Ortiz only played about 20 to 30 games in the fourth batting order. But in doing some practices and stuff, as Coach Farrell observed, whenever we put David Ortiz in the fourth batting order, he is able to bring in more runs and more wins for the team. There was a correlation. So in 2013, what Coach Farrell did was put David Ortiz in the fourth batting order, and as a result, you can see that they did a complete turnaround from 2012, where they had one of the worst seasons in their history, to 2013, winning the World Championship. Now, obviously, it's not all due to one player and one decision, but this is definitely one of the crucial decisions that John Farrell did that did account into that winning the championship win that they had. So if you look, once you look at the data did support the analysis between John Farrell and Kevin Achilles. He is projected to win, doing a MA and MAD, he is projected to hit more home runs, and so the data does support Coach Farrell's decision.
All right, thank you. As Sarah and Adrian gave some offensive and defensive statistics, I'm going to go into some overall team statistics, but before I do so, there's some stolen bases statistics that are pretty notable here about some of the top defensive players, as that's one of the tools and mechanisms used to play good defense. So starting off in 2007, the Boston Red Sox, they picked up M. Betts, who was one of their key players and vital players who around in 2013 averaged around 33 stolen bases per year. And then here in 2012, we're lining Jay Bradley up in the higher in the lineup to achieve some of those stolen bases in the most critical positions was definitely a smart move. And then lastly, finishing with B. Holt in 2014, who averaged around from 44 to 73 stolen bases per year. So that was definitely pretty vital there in that aspect. Looking at the team standpoint, from home runs, you can see they average everywhere from 160 all the way up to the latter part of 200s in team home runs. But in the year 2013 in particular, they averaged 178 where they were projected to do 184. So they fell short slightly, but they definitely still did what they had to do to pull it off in the home runs. Next, defensive catches was again plays a very important role and vital part within the team and defensive mechanisms. In 2013, they were averaged to get 6,553, where they actually only finished with 5,558. So again, they were really short. They were relatively short, to their goal. But again, they pulled it off to do what they had to do to win the World Series in 2013. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy, where he's going to conclude the presentation.
Great, so I'll be touching base on some of the playoff data. I went ahead and wanted to see how I could go about the expectancy for the attendance and winning percentage, how they correlated. In 2007, whenever they won the World Series in 2013, their attendance was pretty high, but the years after they won the World Series, they went to the playoffs and lost. It was actually much lower. I mean, it was actually much higher. So the expectancy was higher the years after and whenever they went to the playoffs. I found that also in 2007, 2013, that the winning percentage were at a particular rate, and it kind of gave me some information on how, what they would need to go or what type of percentage that they would need to hit in order to make that journey again back to the World Series. And then we ran a regression on pitching talent and the payroll, earned runs and errors. They had in 2007, 2013, they had some of the lower earned runs and errors. Also, the pitching talent, they didn't pay out as much, but they got production on it. And then also with the designated talent, whenever they brought David Ortiz in, they really got some significant progress out of that, or some work out of that. So in 2007, 2013 is when they had some of their higher years with home runs, batting average. However, it was still a constant with the designated hitting talent. Kind of going and looking through this, the regression and things like that. We touched base on the audience. Really didn't find a lot of correlation on some of the parts. However, I did find some things that we could work with. And secondly, the offensive, bringing on that designated talent, they really did see some rewards out of that. And lastly, the defensive, bringing on new pitching, paying for more talent was a really good idea, and it really shows how that helped them get back to the World Series that next year. So in conclusion, a lot of the decisions that they made throughout the years, they were able to really justify and make better decisions with the talent that they brought on. And so that's really going to help them to basically reverse that curse once again. That's our presentation.